Jason Walker here, Walker Tea Review. We are here to talk about tea. Are we tea snobs? No. Do we appreciate tea? Yes. Do we enjoy the taste? Yes. Does every tea experience have to be a divine epiphany? No. We enjoy tea just for the sake of enjoying tea. Sometimes a cup of tea is a nice comfort, a simple way to slow down and enjoy something. That's what we're going to be enjoying today is some tea. This is from Teas Etc. This is their Golden Dragon Aged Oolong. We have a tea pot here. This is an Ishin clay pot we're going to be using. We have a set of aroma cups we're going to be using and talking about that. Our glass is for wine glass, clear. Let's just look at it. Let's stick our nose in, get a smell, because we're doing tea review and tea tastings. I hope that you've had a chance to order in advance. Get this tea in front of you yourself so that you can be tasting along with us. You can be making notes about your tea tasting experience, and you can kind of be developing your palate as you go along. We have our water that's just come off of the boil. Let's get this started, and then we'll be able to kind of go along, give you some guidelines and some experience about teas as well. We got our regular old teaspoon here. And we're gonna, with this tea, we're gonna get a pretty healthy dose portion here. So there's a teaspoon there. Because this is a pretty fluffy, bulky tea, we are going to add a second spoon there. That should get us started quite well. Set this aside just a moment as we. This clay teapot is about 6 or 7 ounces. And we're adding our water. There we go. With oolongs like this darker kind of oolong, you can give it a water that's at a higher temperature, that's closer to a boiling temperature. I would say this water is about 200-ish. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and give it some time to steep. We're using a clay teapot for this instance because clay and oolongs often go well together. So we believe this will kind of draw out some aromas and some quality there. Okay. You may also want to be, if you're taking notes and experiencing and developing your tea tasting skills, you want to be making some notes probably about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor that we're going to be looking at later. For dry leaf, of course, we usually talk about the color, the shape of the leaf, and the aromas that come off of the leaf. So let's go ahead and kind of look at that. We're going to be, as we said, kind of give an introduction here. We have Teas Etc's Golden Dragon Aged, 1 ounce, online, sold for $12.95. Let's see, this has a characteristic of Taiwanese teas because, and as we would expect, this is a tea from the Longtou Mountain in Taiwan. Okay. Information on their website also says that this was oxidized a second time. It went through 2 oxidization fermentation processes. Okay, so we're going to get a good whiff of this. If you want to make your notes, you might want to follow along with us and get your own smells that you get as well. First off, this smells very similar to several other Formosa, Taiwan style, Oriental Beauty, Formosa Fancy, those type of ranges of more deeply oxidized oolongs from Taiwan. You are getting some of that kind of golden raisin that the website describes. I'm also getting a kind of a wet fall leaf. If you had a maple tree in your front yard, you raked up the wet leaves after a rain, and you just kind of let them pile up, and you let those sweet sugars in the maple leaves kind of release those aromas and a little bit of gentle decomposition. You get that sweet fall wet leaf smell coming off of this. The other thing you're going to note, that you're also going to see as we look at the shape of the leaf, you can go ahead and shake a little bit of this out. couple of things you're going to notice. This is a twiggy tea. You have some pretty good sized pieces of twig in there. Almost gives the impression that this was either machine harvested or harvested with clippers. On the other side, you also will get pieces of leaf, nearly full-size leaf in some cases. These are not really rolled into a ball. These have been twisted or wrapped along the vein in many other cases, or they've just been pressed and wrinkled together. You're getting a range of colors anywhere from kind of an auburn reddish brown to a kind of a dark taupe, kind of a gray brown color. And you're also getting some of the undersides of leaves. You're getting kind of an olive drab. So we have twiggy, some of the largest twig pieces I've seen, actually, and leaf colors of a dark, more richly oxidized type tea. Okay, so we've looked at our dry leaf there. We're going to be going on and talking about our wet leaf, and of course, to get our wet leaf out of the pot, we've got to pour. So we're going to go ahead and pour this. We're going to pour into our aroma cup and let that kind of work, and you'll see how an aroma cup works if you haven't seen that. And we are also going to be pouring into our wine glass to look at the colors and aspects of that as well. So first off, into the taller portion of the aroma cup. Use your wider cup as a lid. Set that aside for just one moment because we're going to come back to that. Now we're going to pour the rest here into our cup, and we're using a tea towel, of course, to catch all the drips. This teapot actually pours fairly smoothly. Nice ringing sound there. Okay, so let's set this out of the way. And we are going to first make our notes about the wet leaf. If you want to make your notes, pause ever so briefly as we look at the aromas that come off of the leaf and the shapes and the colors that may have been changed or affected through the steeping process. First off, get a good whiff. Careful now, there's a lot of steam built up under there. Don't want to scald your inside of your nose. And you kind of take it in one nostril, let it settle in, take it in the other nostril and take it into both. You are getting that still kind of a baked type smell. There's some warm, kind of a baked type, toasted type smells that are coming off of this. It's one of the first things that came really across. Almost like a bit of a kind of a peachy element to it. The other note that, if you're familiar with, I also found wild grapevine. I remember growing up as a kid, my grandparents had a place beside a river. There was trees. There were those old thick grapevines that you could actually scramble around, climb on. They were so sturdy. And my grandmother also would make some of the grapevine type wreaths. It's got that woody, lightly fruity type sweet sap smell to it. That's what's coming off of this warm grapevine type smell. Okay, and as we move on, we do still have our twig pieces that are coming out. Also, we're going to pull out, let me pull out a couple of these leaf pieces. Yes, here's a nice hefty size. Getting a nice full size here. One of the things you may want to do is kind of take your leaf, get a feel for it. Feel how the thickness, is it thick, is it delicate? Chew on it a little bit. This is a pretty thick, sturdy leaf, which indicates this is a more mature leaf. Darker olive, darker green type colors of this leaf as well. Save that one for later. Look at that. We're getting, like we said, still similar sizes. And let me pull out, we're not getting any kind of tips or anything off of this really. So we've got larger, more mature type of leaves, indicating this was from a later harvest during the year. Okay, so that takes care of our wet leaf. As we said, a more later, more mature harvest probably coming off of that. Probably a summer type, late summer type tea that was made here. Let's go on to our liquor here. Now with our liquor, of course, we're going to be looking at our aromas. We're going to be talking about the body of the tea. Does it feel brothy? Does it feel soupy? Does it feel creamy, almost like a buttery type cream smoothness in your mouth? Aftertaste that you may have. You may also want to make notes about astringency, if that's something that's you find affects you, or that you become very conscious of, and any kind of bitterness. So let's go ahead and first use our aroma cup. Aroma cups are designed to kind of give us a better sense of the smell. So with our aroma cup, we want to quickly flip it over. We want to kind of angle our cup to the side here, and we want to kind of give it a twist to break that seal, and that allows all of our liquor to drop there, and gives us a sniff here of our tea. Okay. Now, we still are getting that kind of grapevine / golden raisin type smell that's coming off. Let's give it a taste here as well. Now, in the tasting here, you are getting a kind of a light peachy type note, or a raisin type note. The body's quite mellow, feels pretty smooth in your mouth. The aftertaste does kind of, as it tapers off, you're left with a sudden surprise attack of puckery that just kind of builds up in the back of your mouth there. That's one of the things that I noticed about this. Yeah, let's go ahead and, we didn't talk about color, so let's look at our color for just a moment. We've got a nice, pretty nice amber looking color there. It's kind of a orangey brown. Good fall type of color coming off of that. A little bit of grape tartness, like if you had a little bit of a sour type green grape, that's in there as well. Yeah. Aftertaste fades. Well, I should say this. The aftertaste can be kind of watery, at least on this steeping it was. In previous steepings, not as much. What I did find, though, in prior steepings was the second steeping, it was more of a challenge, actually, to draw out the same level, or even close to the same level of, aromas, of body. So this is not something that you're going to be able to pull a lot of steepings out of. This is one is your best and tapers down pretty quickly as far as the quality of aromas and complexity. Still, overall, has a lot of those characteristics of an Oriental Beauty or a Formosa type, more deeply aged oolong. We give it an 86. We would like to see a little bit of a stronger aroma profile, especially, I mean, in the first cup definitely, but especially in second steepings. Nice mellow body, that's what it's got going for it. And that abrupt kind of boom, hey, let me give you a little pucker there in the aftertaste. That was a little bit of sudden. It could have been, crescendoed and decrescendoed a little more smoothly on that. So this again was Teas Etc. Golden Dragon Aged Oolong. Perhaps you recommend a different oolong. Let's what kind of taste comparisons would you offer? How would you compare this? What would you say this fits best with? Give us your ideas here at Walker Tea Review.